all the while wishing your death, not only your death, but the death of your wife, your sister, your kids, everyone who looked like you, that when he dies, you're going to say, God bless you. And I'm not even asking you to go the Elgin route. I'm not even expecting you to go my route and say, fuck this dude. May he rest in piss forever. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying, don't say nothing.
Informed, intelligent, in the black.
In the light of the recent death of Charlie Kirk, I heard many Christians, white more so, but also black Christians, come out and say that he was a hero and a martyr, specifically because he professed to be a Christian. And that's why they listened to him and felt remorse for him and ultimately, mourned his passing. And for the life of me, I still to this day, I cannot understand how you can hear someone say things like, literally almost every week on his show, how an unqualified black person is taking the job of a qualified white person. How you could hear someone say that there should be death to all Muslims. How you can hear someone question the integrity, the intelligence, and the humanity of almost every black person in a position of power, specifically women. How you can hear someone say that the Civil Rights Act, Martin Luther King, and so many other things during the civil rights movement were not only a waste, but the incorrect thing to do. And say, because this man calls himself a Christian, that you are somehow, in some way, should be in alignment with him.
I didn't celebrate Charlie's death. I was sad because I think every human being should have been sad to see somebody die that way. But one of the things that grieved me was seeing so many believers who appreciated Charlie not being able to understand why we might not be as impacted over his death in the same way that you are.
Why don't you think he's a martyr? And it's like, because I heard what he said.
Yeah.
And so it's not that I don't appreciate his stances on abortion, on sexuality, on marriage.
Yes.
But it's also, I hear other things alongside that don't give martyr.
If you claim to be a Christian and you don't have any sympathy for a Christian brother who is talking about Jesus that bleeds out from the neck globally in the most watched murder in the history of the world, if you turn that into a race issue, that may say a lot more about you.
With seeing black Christians attempt to say things like, I'm praying for his family, I am, deeply saddened by the loss of his life because he is part of the body of Christ. I struggled with a number of Christians saying that they had some sort of allegiance with Charlie Kirk because they fall within the same theology or Christian bracket, right? I wrestled with that, and I looked at people who made public declarations of any type of support, spiritual or even with his ideology. I labeled you immediately. I judged you harshly, and again, largely, it's not just because Charlie Kirk was someone who spit those types of fascist, white supremacist, Islamophobic, all those type of things. It was the fact that this man was able to organize thousands, millions of people around that ideology to help elevate the person who's sitting in the position of power right now. Like, it wasn't just simply one man making these horrible things. He was a strategic organizer and mobilizer of people behind that particular thought. So if you're going to tell me that this man was able to do all of those things to organize and mobilize millions of people to put a president in office, all the while wishing your death, not only your death, but the death of your wife, your sister, your kids, everyone who looked like you, that when he dies, you're going to say, God bless you? Like, I can't understand. I can't wrap my mind around that. And I'm not even asking you to go the Elgin route. I'm not even expecting you to go my route and say, fuck this dude. May he rest in piss forever. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying, don't say nothing. But it is something deeply wrong with the current iteration of Black Christianity in this country today. It is something wrong with it. It is deeply connected to white conservatism, and it is deeply connected to white Christian nationalism. And what no one is trying to do, no one is sitting down and saying these are the similarities between the two and these are the differences.
Why do white evangelicals struggle with the idea of race? Why do they
Yeah.
struggle with
That's
those
what he's
Europeans that colonized and brought Christianity to the world? It
Yeah,
was,
and why are you constantly apologizing for
Yep.
that and struggling with white guilt?
Like race is a real thing. It's not just a social construct. It's in DNA.
Right, because even the
blood, and bone
conservative
marrow.
guys, when they pushed back against, BLM and we was Kangs, and all this kind of like black people are great and the only things that's ever been bad about them is because they're victims and have been oppressed and blah, 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 blah. And so when BLM and wokeness and all that stuff was going on, there were conservatives who pushed back. They were a little cowardly and a little late, but eventually they pushed back. But even the ones who pushed back, they pushed back to say, black people aren't that great, but neither are white people, and you're doing identity politics, by, saying that, I'm black and these are my people, but no one should be doing it. Like the way that it was pushed back against, instead of saying, because what should have been said, and I'll probably get clipped for this, but what should have been said is, hey, cut it out. You need to grow up. Stop throwing a fit. You're throwing a tantrum. Stop being a little boy. You're whining and crying about something that's ultimately your fault.
Yeah.
Stop blaming it on other people. It's your fault. Because here's the deal. It's like, well, slavery. The richest black people on God's green earth are African Americans. If slavery never happened, then you would be in a grass hut.
Yeah.
Right? Well, we need reparations. Your reparations are that you get to live in America. You're welcome. You're welcome.
You get to have the Christian religion.
That's
live
right.
better than your ancestors.
The
ever
greatest
would've.
moment in history for any brown or black country is the moment that the white man's ships arrive on your shore.
I myself do not see that much difference between the two because of what we are seeing in our community, what we're hearing from the theology that is coming out. It's very few people, and these are typically people who are in high levels of Christendom, Black Christendom, who will come out and speak out publicly against Charlie Kirk. But man, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. People saying because he's a Christian, he deserves some level of
compassion.
And I'm like, you realize that he was your enemy. You people who believe that, and I'll be quiet after this, you would be the same motherfuckers who would have compassion for your Christian slave masters.
See, and people wonder why, at least the people that know me, wonder why I made the choice I made. It's very hard for it gets easier for me to accept my decision when I constantly see institutions like religion corrupt the minds of my people and their hearts, even in the face of someone who not only spoke evil things against us, but took action, ruined lives.
There it is. That's the part.
He actually ruined lives, went out of his way to ruin the lives of people of color, out of his way to destabilize institutions meant to help human beings. I don't know where in religion you are asked to equivocate that, but it feels like that behavior is just clearly a part of the programming. They expected this behavior from Black Christians. You know, that's how they've been, that's how much their spirit has been watered down and softened in the face of blatant evil, twisting the very principles you're supposed to use to help. I mean, it's so, you know, it's very easy to understand when you see that, you know, this is just another tool of control and action. And it's just hard to accept, you know, when the truth is in your face. I don't know.
I think that
I feel sorry for them, you know, to a certain extent, that they would even selectively choose to raise, you know, to martyr that man. But you know, again, like, you know, like Elgin said, you know, and what I felt for a long time, we didn't have to say a damn thing about it. Not a single thing. We did not have to say a single thing about it. And yet, clearly, to appease, to appear compliant,
there we go.
You're going to religiously acknowledge this man. Yeah. It's, you know, the programming is deep.
Yeah.
I think because of safety's sake and proximity to safety, a lot of us have bought into that. And they've not only bought in, I'm talking about specifically in the United States. There's a different type of branding that happens outside the United States.
Agreed.
But specifically in the United States, it's a white Christian national ideology.
Say that somebody was coming into our church and they're black, and would they be eligible for membership in our church? Yes, they of course they would. They'd be eligible for membership in our church. But would they be permitted to participate in, embody, and practice what I would call black culture generally in our church? The answer is absolutely not. Why? Because the characteristics that mark black culture as a generalization, in the same way Paul's talking about Cretans on Crete, they are evil, murderous, violent, bestial people. They steal, they kill, they destroy. They are sinful to the core. They have besetting sins that are like fatherlessness, sexual immorality. They molest children at a high rate. All of any criminal statistic that you could look at, almost pretty much without exception, they excel at them. Black culture.
And it's even interesting. I mentioned it before, but like the black guy on TikTok, he was saying, he's like, y'all crazy. Like, you're talking about this person like it's mental health. He said, that ain't no mental health. That's a demon.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people are seeing that. Like, this behavior is demonic. To walk up to a white girl.
But yeah.
And to cut her throat. Because she's white. Because she's white, and be like, yeah, we got that white girl.
We got that white girl. And when you think about it, you look at that culture and you say, what are the besetting sins and characteristics of it? And then you say, could somebody come in a lawful church membership embodying that culture? No. They have to self-consciously repudiate that culture.
Because if you actually follow the Bible doesn't tell you that you should be searching for power here on this plane. It's to be searching for peace in the kingdom, right? Absolutely. After you've passed away. But we've bought into this ideology, into this theory that being a Christian means that you have to have amassed all the power here on earth to have people do what you want them to do for the sake, quote unquote, the sake and the betterment of the country. And black people have bought into that. And it pains me that they've bought into that when this country has never been a bastion of safety for any black person that's come to this country. So how could you be a Christian nationalist and profess that through Christianity you'll have safety? Ku Klux Klan was predominantly Christian. Yeah. Most of those right-wing terrorists through the civil rights movement were Christian.
Yeah.
And yet and still